Hello and welcome back to D6 Tabletop. In this video, it's not 40k, it's Lord of the Rings SBG. Lord of the Rings is by far one of my favourite tabletop games. It's one of the games that I first got me into Warhammer in the first place all those years ago when Warhammer Fantasy Battles stopped being a thing, when they got rid of it. I moved on to Lord of the Rings, and I only been playing 40k probably for the last 2 years since moving up to the Gloucester area. Lord of the Rings SBG is potentially, in my opinion, the best rule set that Games Workshop produce. It's a fantastic game that has some really cool mechanics to it, and is a really, if you're a Lord of the Rings fan and a tabletop fan, then why aren't you playing it already? You probably are, but if you're not, get involved. It's not got a high price point for joining in, unlike some other gaming systems. The best way of joining and starting the game is one of these. It's a BattleForce Box. Costs, well, from your friendly local game shop, probably about £45, and it's got enough in there to start an army entirely. And then you can add a few heroes in and a few special units later on. There's no big book catalogue either. All of the armies of the Lord of the Rings films are in one, and all of the armies of the Hobbit films are in another. That's both good and bad armies in both, which is a lot of data and a lot of options to choose from. There's some really cool interactions between units and special rules. There's also some really cool ways of allying in certain people, so you can run a force of Rohan and Minas Tirith together, Rohan and Lorien. The other armies involved are the Ents. If you want to run Treebid and do the last march of the Ents, you can. There's Lorien, there's Rivendell. You can be Elrond, you can be Glorfindel. Even if he's not in the films, he's in the books, and he's also on the tabletop. You can play as the Dwarves of Erebor in The Hobbit. You can play as the Dwarves of Khazad-dûm if you want to play Balin's expedition before they got killed by the, goblins and the cave troll in the Balrog.
No. Oh.
But they're there, and then you can play as other different people as well. The fiefdoms there from the books, not in the films, but you can play as Prince Imrahil and all of his people. So there's some really nice options in there and some really nice customization, and it's just a really good community as well to be part of. So in 2 weeks' time, it is the Home Nations Cup at Firestorm in Cardiff. I'm leading a team of 4 of us going over there. And as per usual, I haven't got an army made yet. So in this video, I thought I'd show you some of the miniatures of what I'm taking, do a bit of building, and then in the next video, or on some live streams, I'll do some painting and stuff like that. So the Home Nations Cup in Cardiff. Teams of 4 are going to compete across 2 days, playing a variety of games. In each round, 2 of the 4 players will be playing a doubles game, whilst the other 2 players are playing 2 single games. Each player has brought a 650 point list of models. However, in the doubles game, they can only play with 400 points worth of that to a combined table of 800 points aside, and then those that are playing the singles games will play their games of 650 points. So with that in mind, I've built my Minas Tirith list around the one and only King Elisar.
For Frodo.
And he is going to be leading from the front, except for probably in the doubles game, because he costs so many points that I can't afford to keep him on the table at that low amount of models and numbers. So, Aragorn will be leading my army. He's not probably the best choice. You'd probably pick Boromir. No, not that one. This one.
For Gondor! For Gondor! For Gondor!
He's the one you want to look out for. He is a beast. He's also less points than Aragorn. However, one of our other team members is already taking him, so I didn't want to copy it, so I'm going to take Aragorn instead. Quick little rules thing here, quite themey with the films. We cannot field both of them at the same time. By the time that Aragorn is king in the films, Boromir, God rest his soul, is dead. For that rule alone, you cannot have Aragorn king and Boromir on the table at the same time. You can take Aragorn, but he's got to be of the Fellowship and not the version that leads Minas Tirith. So it's a cool little caveat with the rules there, so me and him can never field the 2 commanders at the same time anyway, and arguably when we come to doubles, we might be better off taking Boromir to the table because he gives the whole army a buff, if they're within range, then Aragorn with his special swinging sword. So there's that to consider anyway. So my list is in 2 warbands. For those of you who don't play Middle-earth, rather than writing an army list like you would say in 40k, where you just pick your battle line units and you pick your special units and all that kind of stuff, you pick a leader. The leader can then lead so many models with him, depending on how heroic he is. So Aragorn, being the best of the best, the creme de la creme, shall we say, can lead a much larger band of warriors than, say, a captain could. With that in mind, I've only got 2 captains. I'm not going to go through the whole list in this video, that's not what this video is about. But it is going to be Aragorn and a character named Cirion, who is in the books. And they are going to lead their warbands on the table. Oh, and there's also a King of Men, who is a minor character, a minor hero, that is used to act as maybe potentially another steward. So the models then. Lord of the Rings still uses metal minis, as well as plastic ones. This is probably the best way to get into Warhammer Lord of the Rings currently. They're called BattleForce Boxes. You can get one for Minas Tirith, one for Rohan, one for Isengard, and one for Mordor. And in it is a collection of models that is a good starter for any army. The Minas Tirith BattleForce Box here comes with a box of 24 warriors, 6 knights of Minas Tirith, Gandalf the White, and Peregrine Took. From this, I am going to need to make up 6 warriors with spear. I'm also going to need to make up a couple of knights, and that's all I'm really going to need from this box. The rest of it I'll make later on and turn into extra units for my army. I'm also going to need Cirion and Beregond out of this pack, but I only need Cirion. And their metal out of that blister pack. And I'm also going to need some of these boys. These are the guards of the Fountain Court. Now, we've got one slight issue with these guys, and that is their fine cast, which is a bit of a problem. I'm not a huge fan of fine cast. However, there are ways of making it better. Now, I don't mind fine cast. Like, it's not terrible. Sure, things come warped and some things, but in mini size, model size, it's not terrible. It's when you get things bigger than this that you have real issues where things just don't, like a trebuchet in fine cast, that's a problem. It just doesn't come right. My biggest problem is this. These are the pikes that are supposed to be used for these guard. And, well, that's the main problem. They're just bent. I could try and reform it, but you can see some of the flashing's wrong and the moulding's gone wrong on there. So what we're going to do is replace these. I've got some 3D printed parts, which are essentially it's the same part, but it's made out of resin instead, so it holds a better shape and it's got a bit more detail. And our 3D printed part will just replace the bit that should go there. So we're going to mark it there. Start cutting off little bits at the end, I think, and work our way up. A bit more. Perfect. There we go. He's now got a nice straight pike, as opposed to the ones that come with it that are really bent. I've got a few more of them to make and get them ready for painting. I don't base them yet, they're going to go separately like this for a while yet, and not until the end where I'll put them on the bases at the end because I'll pick the bases separately. Cirion's pretty simple because he comes in a blister pack, blister packs, and he's already made, that's it. Lord of the Rings doesn't have much to make compared to like 40k or Sigmar where it comes in a billion parts. Which, don't get me wrong, I enjoy that part of the hobby, but sometimes it's nice just to open the packet and have it built for you and not have to sit there and build for hours before you can start painting. Especially if you're in a rush and you need to get to a tournament in 2 weeks' time. When you open like a box of troops within Lord of the Rings, they come like this. Most of it's built. Like you'll see this guy here in the top here is already pre-built with his pose, which is great, and it's not at the same time because If you like to make miniatures your own, or you like to kit bash, or you like to change things around, they're already pre-made, so you can't do that during the building process. But in this case, what I've got is another few bits and pieces of 3D printed stuff, so I'm going to do a couple of weapon swaps to try and make things look a bit unique. As you can see, they come here. Here's a 3D printed. It's just a few spears. Twist one off and pull it out. There we go. Slightly more dynamic, slightly different pose to what the regular ones are in the box. Now obviously with these Lord of the Rings miniatures, I'm not going to put them on a base, and I can't put them in a painting handle. I suppose I could blue tack the bottom bit onto a handle, but what I find easy to use is these little crocodile clamps for spray stands. All I'm going to do is stick him on that little stand, and then that will be him now when I paint him up. So we've got our Guard of the Fountain Court with better spears, because they're not the fine cast version. We've got our regular Minister of Warrior, who's now got a different pose thanks to having a different spear. And we've got our leaders, who I can't change around, that's how they look. So we're going to move on now to painting in another video, or on a live stream. So this video is just an introduction into Lord of the Rings and what I'm starting for the tournament. So thank you for watching. If you like this kind of content, please leave a like on the video. Comment below whether you're going to the tournament. Will I see you there? Is Lord of the Rings something that you're interested in taking part in or getting into? And please consider subscribing to the channel. So until the next one, thank you for watching. We'll see you again. Goodbye.